Good day to anyone listening to this video. I hope your week has been amazing regardless of what day it is of the week. So today I'm going to discuss something that was an interesting lesson for me in the sense that at the time I felt that I was being held back. I felt that I could not be given the opportunity to prove myself, right? So let me go ahead and backpedal a little bit. When I first got out of the Army, I started working extensively on credentialing, right? I had just obtained my associate's degree before I got out. I had been working on my bachelor's. I was working multiple certifications and a wide spectrum between management and tech. Right? And I've gotten this large scope of credentials at this time. So at the time, I could only get employed as a help desk technician, right? Making low money, right? So it was a lot of money for me in the sense of what I was accustomed to making, but it wasn't anywhere near what I was expecting to be making with all these new credentials. Essentially, what had happened was that I had gone from having minimal credentialing. At the time, I had Security Plus, A Plus, Network Plus, and an associate's degree, to having a Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology with a concentration in advanced networking. I had my CCENT, my CCNA. I had a whole host of advanced cyber credentials, project management credentials. I had all these different things. Like I noticed credentials, plural. And I was still working a help desk job. And I couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing wrong. All I noticed was every time I tried to do something, I had someone else telling me, well, you need to spend more time in this capacity or that capacity. And I was bored out of my mind, right? Like I had little to nothing that I was learning. I was not growing as a professional any further. I truly felt like I was just wasting time. And I was trying to get out of that cycle, but I couldn't. No one would give me the chance. Every time they'd say, well, you don't have experience. Well, how do I get experience if you don't hire me? And this just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I struggled, right? And it just racked my brain because it just made me so frustrated. And finally, I was just like, you know what? What is the real reason? So I talked to a couple of employers and they were like, oh, you're just a help desk technician. Why would we take you seriously? It's like, just a help desk technician. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. It has to do with who I am. Okay. And at that particular point in my life, I decided to talk to a lawyer that I was currently already established in a business relationship with. And I said, hey, can you help me set up a business? So he set up a sole proprietorship LLC for me. And I went from being help desk technician to being president. And it was funny, the doors only the title change, only the title. The doors that opened up for me. All of a sudden, I was given platforms and opportunities that would have never been extended to me and were not extended to me. And it just, even now, like when I think back to the ultimate decision to open my first business, it was this really surprising. I did not in any way, shape, or form expect that just the title change would have such a substantial difference in who was willing to listen to me. But it did. And going overnight from help desk technician to being a president of my own business, right? President and owner, blah, 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 right? All of a sudden, people were listening to me. I was getting business opportunities hand over fist, which opened up new opportunities for me, new chances to prove myself, new points for my resume, and a whole bunch of new professional contacts. Like I got involved with the CompTIA organization, right? At this particular time, I got involved with CompTIA. Started attending, at that time, it was called IT Breakaway, right? It was before it became ChannelCon. And let me tell you, man, this was amazing. Like the amount of opportunity that just all of a sudden just into my lap. I cannot describe the world that I was in as I emotionally struggled. Because bear in mind, at this particular time, to attend my first IT breakaway, I had to spend several $100s a night in a hotel room because this one was done in the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. I had no promise of how this money was going to be beneficial to me, right? I had no experience doing things like this, so this was just like all foreign to me. I had to pay for my flights. I had to pay for my room. I had to pay for my food. This was a really nerve-wracking moment because, we're talking a good chunk of money for someone who is just now starting to earn decent money. But man, was that return on investment amazing, right? It was a gamble that was worthwhile and paid off. And the reason that I'm talking to you all today is to talk about what led to that, right? Consider the beginning portion of it where no one would give me an opportunity, right? This is where now I do a lot of public speaking in regards to the differences between sponsorship and mentorship. And the reason that sponsorship is so important, right? Because you can have all the skills in the world, the mentoring, but no one's willing to give you the opportunity to apply them. So even with all those skills and all the tools in your toolbox, if no one gives you a job to work them, then those tools just sit in the toolbox. In this particular case, I got tired of waiting on other people to acknowledge what I felt was my talent. And I went out and I took risk and created the opportunity for myself. I created opportunities instead of waiting on other people to acknowledge my talents. When a lot of people look at me now and they discuss, there's a bit of envy, sometimes jealousy, sometimes incredulous viewpoints about how I managed to go from where I was to where I am. And I always let people know it is by being impatient. Being impatient is one personality trait that allowed me to see that I'm not going to wait on someone else's timetable or what they feel I need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. If I were benefiting from that help desk job at that point, like let's say I was learning new skills, I was growing as a professional, I would have stayed in it. It was the fact that that job had little to gain as far as me at that point. And the only thing I was doing was putting in a lot of money. I was doing a lot of jobs that were not in my job description for the company, just the company was unwilling to pay me to do those jobs. They basically loved the benefits of them. They love saving millions of dollars a year. However, I wasn't worth an extra $20,000 a year in a title change, right? Know your worth, know your growth, identify your plan, and create opportunities if there are no opportunities present for you. Don't stand around and wait on other people to acknowledge you and grow you. If you stand around and wait for people to take the time to acknowledge that you are worth something, chances are, unless you're lucky, which I'm not very lucky, you will wait and wait and wait and wait and feel awful. Going back to the help desk job idea, right? And this is where I finally stepped away from the help desk entirely. At the time, I was on a particular help desk where I was working really, really hard to become the site lead for this help desk. And the current manager / site lead had been grooming me for a little bit of time now. This was a couple months worth of efforts. He had been walking around introducing me to everyone as the person who was going to replace him. He felt that I was the best person for the job. Other people felt I was the best person for the job, but because one manager above me didn't like me, because I didn't let her do things that were illegal, right? Because I didn't let her take advantage of employees, treat people badly, and I stood as an advocate for employees within my own values. She decided she was not only going to snub me for that promotion, but she promoted the guy who was the supervisor to the site lead job, which is fine. She also snubbed me for the supervisor position as well. And at this point, this is when I decided, no more, I'll leave. there was a lot of anxiety involved, right? Because I had invested so many years of effort into growing with this business, and I thought that this was my next step. And I misrepresent myself, right? So I didn't just leave immediately. I offered the opportunity to create a position for me that would change my title and allow me to benefit off of it. Now, at the time, I didn't understand contracting in the broader legal sense, right? So I didn't understand that this company couldn't create this title for me. They could give me a pay bump to any dollar amount. They could call me anything they wanted internally, but they couldn't formally give me this title. And they just decided they'd rather lose me, which was fine. It bit them in the butt in the long run. And it launched my career into a completely different path where now I make more than 3 times what I made at that job. And that's just on one job, right? There's a lot of different jobs now that I do that provide various streams of income. And a lot of that comes down to creating opportunity for myself, looking, not waiting, right? I would try to find the best opportunity, jump on it. I wasn't haphazard with it. I really studied and I understood my market, my demographic, what it was I was trying to do. Like, I was on top of all those things. So don't mistake this to say, hey, just wantonly jump out and wish for the best, right? Everything was a calculated decision, very strategic in what I was doing. But I will say, taking those opportunities, very important. So if you don't, you might be sitting around forever and never get where you want to go. So I wish everyone a wonderful day. I hope these videos are helpful for every single individual who has an opportunity to listen for them. Every single lesson is a little bit different, and I will remind, these are all things that I have personally learned through my own life experiences. Some of the big reasons why I'm sharing this is to make sure that my daughter has these lessons in the event that I were to die and be unable to pass them on to her. The rest is just to make a difference, because I've noticed that there's so many people that I help with these lessons through face-to-face, but that's limited by how many people I can talk to face-to-face. So if any of these things appeal to you, if there are challenges that you have to any of these ideas, right? Because I love an intellectual conversation when it goes to debating what I've done, why I did it, the challenges I kind of face and all that. Bring them. Like, post them in the comments. If you have anything that you would like me to particularly discuss, I have a list of ideas that I write down as they come to my head, and I just ad-lib. As you notice, there's no notes in front of me. There's no anything like that. I legitimately just pick a topic, sit down and record, and I reflect on the genuine life lessons where I have really gone through these things and had to learn them for myself. Everything that I share with my audience on YouTube, my platform at YouTube, as small as it is, everything I share here is legitimately stuff that I've unfortunately gone through that were very cumbersome lessons for me to learn, took a lot of time, and sometimes I wasn't so graceful about learning them. You know, sometimes we're really stubborn. We want to believe the best. We want to believe, like in this case, I truly believed, and I had a family that raised me to think, if you work hard, your employer will acknowledge you. Not at all. I busted my butt off for them, saved them millions of dollars. I paid for my salary for over 100 years, and I couldn't even get $20,000 more a year, right? So when I say create your own opportunity and establish what your best alternate's going to be, right? Seriously, do so, right? Don't let other people determine the path for your life. Look at your own life and determine what it is that you really want, what it is that you want to achieve, where it is that you find your success, and chase that. Take care.